Hello, everybody. I'm C.J. Miller. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana, across the Red River from beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. Now, what I have in this covered skillet, just about everybody, uh, their culture has a version of this recipe. So, these are stuffed stuffed dumplings. In this case, it's crab meat filling, canned crab meat that I had plenty of, and then yeah, I kind of rolled out some very thin dumplings, rolled them, and of course some of them are split. When you overstuff a dumpling like this, it splits like it's done here, but it's going to work out anyway because it's on top, fortunately, and I don't see a whole bunch of stuffing floating around in here. The main thing is um, we want to steam this until it's done. How I did was I put the stuffing in the dumplings, put them in a little oil in the bottom of the pan, and then let it get just a little bit brown, and then I put the water in. And when I added the water, that's when these things really swole and woke up. Now I had a little bit left over, of the crab stuffing. So I took it, and it's basically the same consistency that you would do a biscuit, basically, except it's flour. And instead of milk, I used really, really warm water. And instead of oil, I added milk. Now there's oil in the bottom of these cups, but basically I took added some flour to it, to the crab meat and to the stuffing, and the remainder of the trimmings from the wrappers, I kind of blended in there too, and just kind of worked it up until it got to a kind of a biscuity consistency. But there's actual crab meat and whatever else that I decided to throw in, and so it's here. And this is going in a 400-degree oven for 15 to 18 minutes. Now, as far as this goes, there is a fair amount of cornmeal that is used here. Uh, Not cornmeal, I'm sorry, cornstarch. Uh, and the cornstarch I used to handle the wrappers, and that's great. We want that. And it lends itself to the water, and everything is pouring out. And so this is making its broth. It's making its own little broth. And so there are versions of soup that are cornstarch soup. Uh, in various cultures all throughout. So it's really kind of cool. Uh, no, this is not the prettiest dish in the world, but hey, whatever. It's me playing around, and it's going to be great. Um, let's see. What do I want to do? Let's see. Hang on. What I wanted is drizzle. A couple of dry bits there. Want to maybe ladle. See, this is making a really, really great thick broth. You could put, if you weren't doing, I'm doing crab meat in the stuffing, but if you wanted to just basically do a chicken stuffing, just chicken, shredded chicken mix or whatever, you had canned chicken, which I did, this would be great. What I've done also, if I want to add a touch of flavor, is, see how this is thickening up? You want this. If it gets a little thick, you add a little bit more water to it. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll put a little bit more water down here. What I did was I added just a touch also of Worcestershire, just for a slight bit of flavor. Yeah. These are great. So what I've done was I've added just a touch more water and just a touch more of the Worcestershire sauce. And if you wanted to, you literally could use soy sauce instead, if you wanted a slight Asian. I'll tell you what's in the crab meat stuffing is the canned crab meat, just a little bit of cream cheese, a little bit of chive, a little bit of this or that, and a little bit of ginger, and a little bit of, what else did I say? I need to remind myself, hang on. A little bit of ginger, just a touch of curry. So yeah, and so what's going on here is that basically uh, this is just a version of just about every culture has some sort of cornstarch uh, soup, and this is kind of sort of that. Uh, but the dumplings, like I said, are self-rising flour, uh, and that's why they sold so largely, and they did fine. Uh, Self-rising flour, and then like I said, that ratio, that biscuit ratio of 1 part flour, uh, 1 part liquid, and 1 part, in this case, egg. I replace that. I replace the or a 1 part flour, a half a part liquid, such as milk. In this case, there was water, and then uh, a quarter ratio of egg. You know, versus where the biscuit recipe, you don't necessarily use egg. You would use an oil uh, uh, for butter or something like that. But nope. Okay, so let's see what's up. Putting the lid back on. We're still not quite done. With something like this, you want to go slow, and the thickening will occur. But this is almost going to be a soup. I'm going to take 1 or 2 of these, put it on a plate with a little sauce. This isn't even the main course. I'm just having fun today. And so as you check on this periodically and put a little broth over it, as the steaming kind of like solidifies the outside, you can do a little bit more basting of the broth or whatever. But mostly, you want to remember to go pretty long. Like, do well with this, because inside of this are folds of the dough that you do want to get done. So you don't want to rush this. This isn't something you put on for like 5 or 6 minutes and it's done. You really want to go. You want to make sure that your dough throughout, especially since it's stuffed, will get done. You know, this is a typical dumpling. Uh, if you did chicken, it would be chicken and dumplings, because there's a fair amount of cornstarch that was coated, uh, and that kind of went to the broth. Uh, it's almost it's going to be, well, it's a kind of a cross between a dumpling recipe and then a cornstarch soup, which is something that people do. It's really great. You could put celery, carrots in here. You can do all sorts of things. This is just very basic, very basic. So uh, the little dumpling soup that I'm doing, this cornstarch soup that's stuffed with crab meat, by the way, it's nearly done to the way I want. And they're going to be so light and fluffy on the inside. The texture of uh, the breading, the dumpling, so light and puffy with the steam. And then, of course, I've decided to broth in it, put a little broth in it and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do here is add just a touch of this kitchen bouquet browning and seasoning sauce. If you've never heard me talk about this stuff is wonderful. It's everything aromatic. Listen to this. It's my secret powwow. A lot of people think it's cheating. I live at a private residence and not a big kitchen, so I cannot make a vegetable broth. But listen to this. Vegetable base. The vegetable base, carrots, celery, cabbage, onion, parsley, turnips. You get a real packed flavor in here. I put just a little of this in here, then I'm going to dilute it and make it a little pourable with a little water, and then we're going to pour it back into the skillet. As a matter of fact, if I were making these in a large stock, I actually could take some of the broth from here, add it to the measuring cup that I'm going to pour the kitchen bouquet in, and then pour it back in. But I actually don't have quite enough broth in there to do that because that's a shallow pan. So a little bit of water. You don't need much. This may actually be twice as much as what I actually need. It's going to be okay though, because I'm going to put some water into it. It's going to dilute it and make it pourable, and it's not going to stain I'm going to pour it into the broth and give it a little twizzle. So we want to add the flavor. We don't necessarily want it to stain the dumpling, so we're trying to avoid that. Wonderful and delicious. What's going on in that skillet, and what's left here that we did not quite use, and this was a very diluted amount, but probably, let me show you the skillet. When I put in the skillet, we got the browning with the flavors coming around that's boiling out. Uh, what here, this is great just to have on hand, this diluted measure, this pourable measure. So if you had guests over and they wanted a little bit more flavor in their broth, they could put in just a touch more here. But yeah, this is great. I've got plans for this though. Okay, so I brought these out of the oven, and these are great, great. Slightly firm, they're wonderful. These are filled with crab meat, that same crab meat mixture. The kind of tough little biscuits, how they've risen. Here is, you'll hear me use the term, by the way, biscuit, dumpling, uh, stone. It's kind of interchangeably, and I'm not necessarily uh, kitchen correct about my usage of lingo sometimes, and sometimes it's regional. Uh, but these are great, and I'm going to take one of these and put it on the side of the. You can have the steamed dumpling, and then you can have this as sort of a firming crouton. So when you need to like soften the plate a little bit, that's great. That's what I'm gonna do. Oh, let's see what they look like on the inside. Oh no, I'm gonna wait till I have the plate then. It's gonna be so cool. It may seem that I'm excited about all this food. I'm not. I'm actually excited about the cooking of the food, because this weekend I've had so much fun at Comic-Con, but I haven't really done a lot of cooking. I've been, food that I've had prepped already, and then I've had, uh, just stuff on the go. So this is the first time that I've actually cooked food in several days, and I really enjoy cooking and the creativeness of it. And of course, I'll finish this, and which is not keto, but it's like I need to do something. And then after the cooking uh, and the experimenting with the these various biscuity little, these are delicious. These crab cake things is what I wanted to experiment with. The crab, it started out, let me just see what I can do with like a stuffed crab meat. Uh, and then, we just kind of went crazy from there. Sometimes it's kind of like that, and sometimes that's where you get some of your best flavors in a nice rustic kitchen. If I were to do a book, it would be a very rustic cooking book. But yeah, whatever. Okay. Oh, let's see. Can we get it? Let me turn this overhead light off. Hold on. Yeah, that was too bright to really get an appreciation. So this is the what I have going on. A bit of uh, it's a bit of steak. Uh, just a sirloin. Actually, this is it's a sirloin. It's a cut of sirloin. Some cheese. One of those crab meat scones. Wait till I show you. The crab meat was minced. It has cooked. It has really become part of the breading, and yeah, you're gonna love it. Uh, and then over here, I have the same batter basically. How it's gotten well that I started with, and then of course I, uh, yeah, yeah, took it from dumpling to biscuit by adding a bit more water and a bit more. Yeah, it's about the same consistency, really, to be honest with you. But I put the stuffing in. I rolled it here and steamed it, and then I mixed it in and cooked it in the oven here. And then this is it with some of the cornstarch broth, flavored cornstarch broth that's flavored with a little bit of. It's a little bit of. What did I say, Worcestershire sauce and the kitchen bouquet. You're going to love it. So I'm left-handed. First thing, you know what? This is the same, and I just kind of wanted to show you outside of the broth what this looks like. That's why this is not floating in the broth. But I want to show you how fluffy it is on the inside. This is great. Fluffy and just full and delicious. And let me taste it. You don't want there to be any, you want it to look bread-like. And this does. You didn't want there to be anything doughy about it, you know. That's really good. To be honest with you, if I wanted to let this steam in that broth a little bit more, I could have, but it's still delicious. It's got a light, airy, fluffy texture here. Now, that is scooped out of the broth, but it's delicious. But the flavors inside of the broth are where it's at, really. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take that other one and put it in this broth. Yes. This is great. This is kind of like, oh, did that sound like Meg Ryan in that movie? I'm sorry. It's very good, very flavorful. You know, that kitchen bouquet really packs a punch. As a matter of fact, I took the remainder of it and put over the steak that was in the oven, actually braising. And this is, let's see what temperature we got to. It's very juicy. The juice is pink. That's how I like it. So straight down the middle. This is right at a rare. Honestly, I'm only going to eat a portion of this. So I'm going to eat around the outside. I'm not going to eat a large amount. And the reason why I did it as a rare is so that tomorrow I can reheat some of this and it'll be more of a medium, just as I like it. But I'm going to eat just around the outside, and it's going to be just perfect. That's a trick for a large cut of meat, and you're going to have some left over tomorrow. You can leave it under the temperature that you want, and then eat from the out to the center. Yeah, but let me show you this biscuit here. So torn straight down the middle, you can't even see the crab meat that's in here. But let me tell you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, there's crab meat, minced crab meat, all the way through here. And you can taste it. Wonderful. What you really do, you come over here and dip this. See, this is very rustic and very southern, you know. Well, what we do is we'll play around and we'll hold on. We will improvise. If we start doing something and it doesn't look like it's going to turn out the way that maybe we think, we will do something else. But yeah. A good cheese. Of course, this cheese has steak juice on it, but I don't care. medium cheddar. The steak has a good blend of dry seasoning, but it's really going to be the kitchen bouquet that's going to give it the kick. We're about to taste that next. Or I say me. I used to work at a call center. And they were like, say we when you're talking to people. Oh my God. So when I'm doing media, I still haven't broken out of that. I'm sorry. So you see the textures of eating from the outside in. This is more of a medium cut. And what I'll just kind of do is kind of go around this blanket steak, and then I'll eat the rest of it. I'll have for some lunch tomorrow. And when I warm it back up, the parts that are more rare will be a little bit more cooked like this. So, I can tell you it is freaking delicious. And it's, you know, really Really great. It really tastes really good. You can taste the meat, and when you cook it too long, not only does it lose some of its nutrients, but it actually loses a good bit of its natural flavor. So I'm coming to appreciate, even though I still don't like rare meat, I'm coming to appreciate meat that's left a little underdone. And this will get cooked more um, by tomorrow. But yeah, it's good. It's good. But this was really about these. This right here is it. And that this you know, you can add, if that's too thick, you can add more. You can add more water to it. But the more you dip into it, the more clumpier and lumpier it's gonna get. But mm, that's good. But I really like the fluffiness that this got, that I just took out of the broth. The fluffiness of this, and make no mistake, all the way through here is crab meat. Um, uh, I think what I want to do next time, if I want to do, I think it breaks apart in here. It's really good. You can try this with a non-rising flour, but you're not going to get the fluffiness of this type of dumpling. You will get more of a wonton, which I thought this was going to be some sort of variation of it, but because this actually has leavening in it, yeah. But I'm glad that this is where we went with it, because this is so delicious. Okay, that ratio that I told you, 1 part self-rising flour here, or you can use regular flour if you want, but you won't get this fluffiness. But if you did that, and then you did 1/2 part warm water and 1/4 part egg, rolled it pretty thin, you'd have a good topping for any of your meat pies and vegetable pies, anything like that, pot pies or whatever. Yeah, it literally could work that way. Okay, let me get back over here. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna sign off. I'm gonna get back to eating my food. Okay, so I love you guys. Love and light, peace, good night.